Yo. Welcome in, man. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show. Today is January the 1st. Happy New Year to all of the listeners and viewers and commenters, haters, everybody else that supports the channel in some type of way, man. Appreciate you guys for tapping in today. Big NBA slate. We'll get into a quick recap, go through a couple of the comments, and jump right into it as we always do. Yesterday on the show, I talked about a couple different things I liked. I ended up getting there with the Pacers. That was a loser, plus the 2. Even though they had a double-digit lead at halftime, Bucks came all the way back and ended up winning that game with Giannis and Dame. So that was a loser. Also, Tatum over his rebounds, 9.5. Didn't play the fourth quarter because of, I think they won the third quarter by 30 points, which was a loser. Super frustrating loser there. Boston Celtics first half, minus the 10. They had a 10-point lead thanks to Drew Holiday hitting the three-pointer. They waited until the third quarter to outscore the Toronto Raptors by 30 points. So, and that ended up being a push. This is I also like Derek White in that game. Didn't play him officially, so or I didn't play him at all. But he, of course, went up and over his points prop. The team total under for Toronto was a winner. They didn't even get to 90 points. So under 107.5 was the bigger play. It was the one that hit. So 1-1-1 in that game. And then the Pacers game was a loser. And then we jumped on the Thunder live at halftime when they were losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So 2 in one day, kind of break even day. Tad bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Hopefully we can start the season. We can start the new year off right. I need to start with a bunch of winners, to be honest. But the NBA has been treating us well over the last week and a half, about 2 weeks. All right, let's go through a couple comments, and then we will jump in to see what jaXon has on the board for us today. G. Harris says, Happy New Year, everyone. Started it out right last night with a Spurs blowout. Let's go. Yeah, so a couple plays that I feels like everybody was on yesterday was absolute winners yesterday. A lot of people liked the Cavs. That was an easy winner. A lot of people liked who else was it? A lot of people like the Cavs. A lot of people like the Spurs. I couldn't get there with either one of them, but Cavs just continue to print money for you if you've been backing them. I was on them the night before against the Warriors, but I didn't take them last night. What up, Justin? Happy New Year to you, my brother. Same thing for my guy, Mark. Says, good morning, Chris, and Happy New Year. And Cappers, let's make 2025 our best year yet. That's what I'm trying to do. GLB Best right behind them. So Happy New Year, everyone. Glad I found this community. Let's keep cashing together. I'm glad you found it as well, GLB. Love the positive vibes. Always sharing helpful information over in the Discord. These the guys right here. All 3 of them. Appreciate you guys for sure. Let's see. Justin says jaXon on my Bulldog is gonna win today. We can talk about that in the Discord a little bit later. Justin. What up, Charles? Appreciate you for tapping in. Says Happy New Year. He says looking for some winners today. Let's go. Right behind you. Brian says the same thing. Time to put that work in. What up, Scott? He says so freaking early for us LV bettors. Where you at in Las Vegas? I actually did the show later today because I felt like people were gonna sleep in. But I mean, if the bag out there, we got to get behind it and try to chase it. So you can't sleep in too late. Early bird gets the worm. That's why I like doing shows early. Morning Cup of Joe. What else we got going on here? Joe in here as always says good morning, everyone. She says Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Sheed, as well. What up, Dropping Dimes? Says Pacers +2. Looked real good until it wasn't, and that's a fact. That is a fact. What up, LJ? Says Happy New Year's, Chris. Happy New Year to you, my brother. Happy New Year for sure. Calvin says, what's good, Chris? First time catching you live. I always tune in when you're on Cal's show. Let's eat. Appreciate that as well. Appreciate that for sure. Not gonna be able to get through all the comments. There's a lot of them coming in, man. What up, Big Smoothie? Appreciate you for tapping in. G421 in here with us as always. What up, Alfonso? Happy New Year to you, bro. What up, Miro? Elijah in here as always, rocking with me this morning. Helping hands in here. What up, Cal? He says Hawks outright. Keep the points. Don't need them. I actually do like the Hawks today. We're going to jump into that game in just a few. Actually, that's one of the later games. But yeah, I like the Hawks today. Probably going to be with Cal on the Hawks today for sure. All right, let's jump into it. 1780 Guap says Happy New Year, Chris and chat. Appreciate you guys for all that good stuff. All right, let's jump into it for today. We always start the show off with jaXon, and it doesn't start any different today. So jaXon is your AI sports betting buddy. Just makes the handicapping process a lot easier, especially if you're someone that you kind of down on time. You don't have enough time to put in the hours of research. jaXon can save you a bunch of time. Player prop, size, totals, fantasy tips, a bunch of different languages like I always talk about. If you use code ChrisBeCappinn, it'll get you 50% off when you sign up over there. So I always like to go first game. I never read it before I start. I just kind of type the prompt in, and then I'll read it on the show. So we got the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons in the first game. And I was interested in the total. So I asked jaXon, simple prompt. I just put Pistons versus Magic total based on advanced stats in the last 5 games specifically, and wanted to see what jaXon had for me. So jaXon says, analysis of the total. First, combined scoring trends. So over the last 5 games, the Pistons and the Magic have combined for an average of 221.6 points per game. The Pistons won 20.8 and the Magic 100.8. Defensively, they've allowed a combined average of 225.5 points per game. Pace of play, the Pistons are playing at a faster pace, 100 possessions per 48 minutes, compared to the Magic, just 95.34 possessions per 48 minutes. This suggested the Pistons will likely dictate a higher tempo, which could push the total up and over. Then you got offensive and defensive rating. The Pistons have been highly efficient offensively with an offensive rating of a 120.7, but their defense has struggled, allowing opponents to an offensive rating of 122. The Magic, on the other hand, have been less efficient offensively, 105.7 in offensive rating, but stronger defensively, 108.4. So then you got recent betting trends. The total of the game is set about 211.5 points. The Pistons have gone over the total in 9 of their last 10 games, including an active streak of 6 consecutive overs for the Pistons. The Magic have gone under in 6 of their last 10 games with an active streak of just 1. Then you got head-to-head matchup, their last matchup, which was on November the 23rd this season. The Magic defeated the Pistons 111-100, resulting in a 211 points in that game, just under the current total. And then recommendation, given the advanced stats and trends, the Pistons' fast-paced and high-scoring offense, combined with the defensive struggles, suggest a stronger potential for a higher scoring game. The Magic's slow pace and stronger defense could temper the scoring slightly, but the Pistons' recent trends of overs is hard to ignore. I lean towards the over 211.5 points for the game. The Pistons' offensive efficiency should drive the total higher, especially if the Magic can keep up offensively. So jaXon likes the over. jaXon was right again yesterday on the over in the Bucks game. So I'm not sure what the trend is for jaXon. I think somebody said yesterday it was 4-1 last 5. So I guess 5-1 last 6. Maybe even more than that. jaXon has been nailing these totals. jaXon said yesterday that if Giannis played it like the over, it was a winner. He played, and if you got I think it might have been dependent on getting the number, but I know the game went up and over the total yesterday. So that's jaXon. Like I said, check it out if you guys are interested. Promo code in the description of the video. All right, getting into a few quick NBA New Year trends. I looked into this earlier this morning as well. Last year, to start the new year, January 1st, we had home teams absolutely smoke the road team. 7-1 straight up, 7-1 against the spread. Dogs last season, if they won, they covered. You can see 3-5 straight up, 3-5 against the spread. 2 years ago, there was only 3 Christmas Day games, and you can see home teams went 2-1 straight up and against the number. Dogs went 2-1 straight up and against the number. So home dogs specifically did pretty well. It was only a 3-game sample. And then I went back 2 years ago. Went back 3 years ago, and you can see that home teams didn't do as well. 2-4 straight up, 3-3 against the spread. Just trying to find something there. The totals are at the bottom. You can see 6-2 to the under last season. I'm sorry, 6-2 to the under last season. 1-2 to the over under, or 2-1 to the under 2 years ago, and then 3 years ago was a perfect 6-0 to the over. So I'm trying to figure out how much did the Christmas Day games influence some of these teams. I'm sorry, not the Christmas Day game. The New Year games influence some of these teams, which is why I put this on the. Why I just wanted to make a kind of little quick graphic here for you guys. So take this and do what it is that you want. Nothing really kind of stood out to me here at all. Outside of the home teams, looks like playing a little bit better than the road teams, at least in recent years. All right, so that's that. Let's jump into the first game. We got the Magic Let me just double check, make sure none of these lines have changed. I literally just did these graphics maybe 30 minutes before the show. Yeah, so it's 1.5. I do see twos pop. I see 1-2 popping up in favor of the Detroit Pistons. Total is 213, 212.5 out there, 213.5 out there. So it really just depends on where you're shopping. Getting into the matchup here, we got an Orlando team. So injury report first. There's a lot of injury stuff going on. Anthony Black is listed as questionable. Jalen Suggs is listed as probable. Fontecchio is out on the Detroit side of things, and I want to say that's it. Of course, no Paolo, no Franz. Those guys are going to be out for, I think Paolo is due back soon, but Franz is going to continue to be out for a while. So Orlando, in the head-to-head matchup, they've actually owned Detroit. They've beaten them 7 straight times. They've covered 5 of the last 7 spreads. The totals are 4-1 to the under in the last 5 meetings. For Orlando specifically, they are rested, 2 days rest. They beat Brooklyn by 1 point in an epic comeback. I think they were down like 20 points in that game. Came back. They failed to cover though. They were laying, I think, 7 points in that spot. They actually failed to cover 3 straight. They play again in Toronto on Friday. On the Detroit side of things, 3 days rest here, but it is their first game back home after that 4-game Western Conference road trip where they did go 3-1 straight up and against the spread before losing to the Denver Nuggets. So Detroit has been playing really good basketball as of late. Does it stop here? I'm not sure, man. I don't want to lay points with Detroit, though. I don't want to lay points with Detroit. Detroit's only 2-6 against the number so far as a favorite this season. Defensively, they're 27th rated defensive team over the last 5 games. Orlando, conflictingly, is also really bad when they're a road dog. And this is, I think the books are telling us something with this being a spot where Detroit is actually favored, especially with Orlando winning so many games recently. It's tough, man. This is a very, very tough game in my opinion. Orlando is just 3-6 against the number when they're a road dog this season. So they don't typically win, don't typically cover in this spot. But Orlando will, they'll beat you up. Like they'll punk you if you don't really come to play. So all of those things like kind of conflicting in my opinion here. I did look into the revenge angle trend for Detroit so far this season. Revenge games where the team lost the first game, which Detroit did lose to Orlando in the first matchup, but then their favorite in the next matchup, they are 40-27 to the under this season. That's a 60% hit rate. But like I said, with Detroit playing such bad defense, maybe Orlando can find ways to actually score the basketball. Detroit also, one thing I was looking at that I noticed with Detroit last 5 games versus full season is they've done a really good job of protecting the basketball as of late. Detroit on the full season, they're still 20th in turnover rate. So bottom 10 team in protecting the basketball. Last 5 games though, Detroit's actually 3rd in turnover rate. So they had not turning the ball over a lot at all. That's important because that's how Orlando generates a lot of his offense. They're actually on the full season, 2nd best team at turning over their opponent. On the full season, last 5 games, 2nd best at turning over their opponent. So that's going to play a humongous role in my opinion here. I really want to take Detroit. I feel like Orlando plays a lot better at home, but I don't know if I can lay points with Detroit. Last time I laid points with Detroit, they got smoked. Last time we saw Detroit at home in general, they were playing against the Jazz and lost that game after getting down by 25 points in the first quarter. So I couldn't quite get there and play the side. I typically don't like playing these teams in their first game back home, but I do think Detroit has a little bit more than Orlando in this spot. Player prop wise, we'll go over really quickly to Outlier, and then I'll go through a couple of the comments. What stood out to me was Malik Beasley. You can see here, we've talked about Malik Beasley against the Kings. We talked about Malik Beasley against the Denver Nuggets. Like this is dude's just been shooting a ton of threes and he's been making a ton of threes. So this is just Malik Beasley up and over his 3-point prop. This is last 20 games. Even on the full season, you can see that he's cashing at 59%. Last 20 games, he's cashing 75%. He's been on a mission. Last 10 games, 70%. So his 3-point prop is listed at plus 120. Plus 130 right now is the best number. You can see here that Orlando is the best 3-point defense, but I did a little digging there, and that's really just 3-point. On the full season, Orlando is the best team at running teams off the 3-point line. So they're allowing teams to shoot just 35% of their shots from the 3-point line, which is the best. Defensively, they're not the greatest defense as far as opponent 3-point accuracy, though. 22nd on the full season at 37.5%. Last 5 games actually worse, allowing teams to shoot 38.8%, which is actually bottom 5 in the NBA. So I think even though this number here suggests, even though this number here suggests that they're the number 1 3-point defense, they can't give it up. Head-to-head wise, he played against them once earlier this season. He did hit 4 threes in Orlando back on November the 23rd. These are ways that I was thinking about. This is the way that I was thinking about playing the game. As much as I want to get there with an under, because I know Orlando has struggled to score the basketball recently. Going back to the total real quick, I do think that it could tick up and over the total. I got couple strong trends towards the under. I just think that the way Detroit's playing the basketball right now, it's only over for me, especially with a total of below 215. So over would be my recommendation. And looking at Malik Beasley again, like I said, up and over 75% of his games, last 20, up and over 3.5 made threes. He's already hit it this season. You can see the 3-point attempts. I mean, dude is shooting 45% over 20 games from the 3-point line. That's absolutely insane. The attempts are there, 9, 11, 10, 11, 19, 13. So, I would only be looking to play Malik Beasley up and over his 3-point prop, thinking that he's going to take 10. He's going to hit 4.5, which is 45%. And he's going to go up and over the 3.5, especially at plus money. Love this look for Malik Beasley a lot. All right, going back, let's see what you guys are thinking about this one, and then we'll move on over to the next game. All right, expecting a lot of comments to come in because I talked a lot. Let's see what you guys are thinking. All right, let's see. That was a rhetorical question. They absolutely win tonight. Okay. I'm gonna see what the spread is. I might try to play some college stuff today. What's up, Jelly? So happy New Year's, everybody. All right. Hawks AC says, Munchie says, Happy New Year, everybody. Let's cash today. We'll go in order, Taylor. So I'll get to that game in a second. Pistons Magic under, Jacob says. And what's up, Jacob? Happy New Year to you, bro. He says under 213. Cal likes Arizona State plus 13.5. Now flashing. If a 14 shows, he says he'll be hitting it. Okay. 1780 Guap, it says let me down 3-legger and 2-legger needed 30 points. Not what you talking about, 1780 Guap. Not sure. He says he needs to bounce back in general today. Okay. What up, Helms? Appreciate you for tapping in. DJ Fitz in here says Happy New Year, Big Dog. Happy New Year, right back to you. Pistons money line for Joe. He says since 2010, teams with revenge versus teams off a win of 3 or less, line between threes, and a game number 20 to 40 are 44 and 27 against the spread. So a lot of parameters there. But Joe says he likes the Pistons on the money line. It wouldn't surprise me if they were able to get it done today. They've been playing some pretty good basketball. You just can't get punked by Orlando. Orlando will punk you. They absolutely will punk you. Your offense will, dry up. They'll hold you to about 17 points in a quarter. I still think they're going to struggle to score, but the Pistons defense has been lackluster for sure. And I want to say, to give the Pistons a little bit of credit here, I want to say that when they were on this Western Conference road trip, they were playing against some pretty elite offensive teams, right? They had the Nuggets in there. They ended up losing their game by 13. The Kings, not a great. They actually beat the Kings. They played against the Lakers. I wouldn't say a great offensive team. Not right now. The Lakers aren't a great offensive team. And then the Suns, they went in there, beat the Suns. This was when the Suns had everybody. So they have been playing against some better offensive teams than the Orlando Magic for sure. Pace of play got to get factored in as well, though. What up, Jay Aries? Blunt says, I'll take the plus 1.5. Wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons win the game by 1 or just lose the game. I can see that too, and it's one of the reasons I'm not on it. Brucey says, I think the Magic might win this due to a difficult matchup they have been recently up against. Brian also likes Orlando plus the 1.5. He says they'll grind it out in the fourth quarter. I believe you believe in them. Okay. I'm interested. So Jalen Suggs is probably the only closer on the Orlando Magic. Tristan Da Silva actually hooped in that last game against the Brooklyn Nets as well. But you're gonna need a big contribution from Wendell Carter Jr., from Goga Batadze. Detroit's the much better offensive team, like light years better, but Magic are the better defensive team. Lean Detroit, Kane says he says they have really been struggling to limit threes, but Orlando can't hit anyway. Also really like that they're turning the ball over lately. They're not turning the ball over lately. And I agree with that. Like I said, Detroit, they're taking care of the basketball, something different. Go Bataze, 10 boards for Jacob. Jaden Ivey, 15 points. Merrill says he likes Malik Beasley over 16.5 assists and it's over 3.5 threes. So some correlation there. Orlando's backs up, got back up. Even Orlando's backups got backups. Go Bataze over his rebounds and assists. Mark says, I like the under 213, but haven't bet it. Man, it's a tough game. It's a tough game, man. A lot of back and forth. I'm not going to be able to get through all the comments. I'm really just seeing how many it is. So Alvin says Cade rebounds and assists up and over. Paul says Cade under 5.5 rebounds. So a lot of different conflicting trends here. All right, let's keep it moving. Elijah says, is Cade double-double in play here? I wouldn't say that Cade double-double was in play here. So I know Cade's been killing, right? I looked into Cade, and I'll bring this up just really, really quickly one more time. Just because you asked about it. Because I was looking into Cade, right? His assist prop has been killing. Cade's been killing. We know he's been dishing, but he's been playing against much faster-paced teams, in my opinion. This will not be a fast-paced game, in my opinion. I don't think Orlando wants to get out here and have a track meet with the Detroit Pistons. They'll play methodical, slow basketball, in my opinion. So looking at Cade assists in general, we can see that the number, it was 9.5. It's actually come down to 8.5 against Denver in the blowout. He had 8.5 assists. He had been going up and over the number. And he didn't play against them earlier this season. In that game that they played, when they lost, he didn't play in that game. So you can see here, Cade, maybe ever. He's last 4 games, he hasn't gotten to 9 assists against his team. So you don't like that as much. You also don't like this. Orlando Magic, best team in the league in giving up assists to the point guard position, right outside the top 5. So those things make me not like Cade as much. I know he'll have the ball in his hands a ton, but that was one of the reasons I kind of pumped the brakes on Cade for today. Just sharing there. Let's get over to the next game. Let's go to the next one. Waz says, yo, Chris, do you get all your information from jaXon? Absolutely not, man. I've been capping basketball for so long. I would never I put this in the Discord yesterday. So I actually use jaXon probably for maybe 2 or 3 times a day. One of them is to give you guys a prompt to see what it is that jaXon likes. I handicap the games all myself. Very old school style, the way I handicap basketball. Like I write stuff down on paper and pencil or pull it up on my laptop and got 3 or 4 screens and I'm looking at situational spots, recent trends for teams. Then I get into matchups and all of those things. But no, I don't use jaXon to handicap the games. I use jaXon to see if jaXon aligns with the angle that I'm looking at to make sure I'm looking at the game right. Yeah, but nah, definitely not using jaXon to handicap all of the games. I can promise you, I've only typed in that one prompt for the whole entire slate today. Because at the end of the day, I still got to make my play, no matter what jaXon like. I don't care what kind of streak it's on, but it has been killing. All right, next game up, we got Chicago Bulls and the Washington Wizards. Game will be played in DC today. This line open, I put 5 in my notes. It's up to 5.5 now in favor of the Chicago Bulls. And the total open 237. Still see 237s out there. 238 popped up as well. So I guess a little bit of money coming in on the Bulls, a little bit of money coming in on the over. This game specifically, injury report, we have Marvin Bagley listed as out already. Bud Carrington listed as questionable on the Washington Wizards side of things. Jordan Poole also listed as questionable. Torrey Craig doubtful. Terry is listed as probable. Jalen Smith is probable. Zach LaVine is questionable. So a lot of different things going on. Chicago did not play Zach LaVine in that last game. He got ruled out like maybe 30 minutes before the game against Charlotte the other day. You hate to see that. Especially if you were somebody that already had bet Chicago. Head-to-head wise, and this is a game I would need to wait to see what's going to happen with these key players. Kyle Kuzma did come back in the last game. That was his first game of the season against the Knicks. Jordan Poole did not play. So it could be the first game that we see Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma together in quite some. I don't know if it's the first game of the season, but in quite some time. So a lot of Just, crazy stuff going on with the injury report here. Chicago has owned Washington. You look at the last 10 games, they won 7 of the last 10. They've covered the only game that they played this season. They were laying 5.5, same number in DC back on November the 26th. They went into DC and won that game and covered. They actually smoked the Wizards in that game. For people who remember, I vividly remember that game. Vividly remember watching it. Chicago, I think, won the game by double digits. May even had like a 20-point lead in that game. Situationally, Chicago back-to-back wins. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Charlotte Hornets, which, I mean, you can give them a lot of credit for beating the Bucks, but they didn't have Giannis. I don't know how much credit you want to give them for beating Charlotte. So back-to-back wins, back-to-back covers. They are 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games, implying that they actually playing a little bit of defense, and 5-2 to the under in their last 7 games. So some strong under trends towards Chicago. They are coming off an overtime game, typically a spot I like to fade teams in. They let Charlotte come all the way back and push that game to overtime when they played a couple days ago. As far as Washington, back-to-back losses to the Knicks. First one they kept close, went to overtime. Second one they ended up getting smoked, didn't cover the spread. This is their 4th straight home game before they start a nice little Western Conference road trip. They'll play in New Orleans on Friday. So, man, this is a game I definitely can't play this game. Jordan Poole means a lot. I think the Wizards, we talked about them playing a little bit better. They do got revenge here. Not sure how much that really means to them. But if I want the Bulls, I want Zach LaVine to be a part of the game for sure. And I'm guessing with the total going up, that's implying that he's going to play. I think the game will be played super fast, of course. We know that the Bulls, one of the fastest paced teams, top 5 in the league. Same thing for the Washington Wizards. Neither one of these teams play a ton of defense, even though, like I said, the Bulls have been playing actually a little bit more defense as of late. Let's see real quick. So full season, you got the third pace Bulls, 4th pace Wizards. Last 5 games, you got the 2nd pace Bulls and the 5th pace Wizards. So both of these teams are playing a little bit better. The Wizards are actually playing a little bit better defense as well. On the full season, their 2nd worst defensive rated team. Last 5 games, actually 22nd in defensive rating. The Washington Wizards also the worst offense over the full season. Last 5 games, they've gotten up to 21st in offensive rating. I don't know. I kind of lean towards under in this spot. Kind of lean towards under. I'm looking at the Chicago Bulls and first of all, 230. Anything over 235 is always an extremely high total, even for the Bulls. The Wizards have struggled to score the basketball all throughout the season. Last 5 games, Bulls shooting a ton of threes. Of course, that's what they always do. They shoot a ton of threes. 3rd in 3-point frequency, 17th in accuracy. The Wizards, don't look now, actually 3rd in 3-point accuracy for their opponents, holding teams to about 32%. Now, that could fly out the window in this game. I don't know how substantial that is for the Washington Wizards, but defensively, they've been a lot better. Their defense are automatically going to improve when Jordan Poole doesn't play, and I think he's missed back-to-back games. Chicago will want to get out and run. They're 5th in frequency, last 5 games. Washington is not terrible. They're 14th in holding teams to a slower paced game and stopping them from getting out in transition. And then when it comes to the Washington Wizards offense, it's only one way I'm ever looking. Because even if they have a 30-point quarter, we know that they can come back down to earth and give you a 16 or 17-point quarter as well. So I'm only looking towards under in this game. Don't trust Washington offensively. The Bulls actually do a really good job of getting back, even on like for the full season. What are the Bulls? The Bulls are 9th, so top 10 in opponent transition frequency, 11th in points allowed via transition buckets, and then last 5 games they're 6th in opponent frequency and 11th in opponent's points scored. So I think I like under a little bit more than anything else in this spot. Don't agree with the total going up. Maybe Zach LaVine gets ruled in, and I'll jump in on under 230. It looks like 238 is available right now. Under 238, I'm gonna add that to my short list. Go through a couple comments. Didn't really look into any of the player props. If Zach LaVine misses again, I think we go back to Kobe White. We talked about him the other day. He cleared the 17.5 pretty easily. Line ended up closing at 19.5, 20.5 on some books. He cleared that as well. Even though he shot 1 for 10 from the 3-point line, I think it was, still ended up getting up and over the number. So Kobe White props. If Zach LaVine doesn't play, he should have a pretty good matchup, even with Bilal Kumbawale out there, playing against him. and trying to slow him down. Malcolm Brogdon's still a pretty good defender in the league as well. So Chicago, Washington under 238. Add that to the short list here. Go through comments and then push to the next game. All right, let's see what we got in the comment section for this one here. Let's see. What's up? Jason says Happy New Year. Appreciate that. Did I go back too far? Ivy better matchup. Jacob says you take your pick and roll. You take your pick and roll ball handler versus the Magic. Ivy torched the Magic last game. Jacob says Magic is 4th in the Eastern Conference. Brucey says dropping down says Beasley is on one this year on a 1-year deal. Okay, my man is trying to get one more bag long term, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Only one way to look at Beasley right now, and that's up and over his props, whether it's points or threes. Let's see. Craig says it's cold in Detroit, man. What up, though, Craig? Appreciate you for tapping in. Magic money line, going back to the last game. All right, I think I went back too far. C-Ray says I have a notepad myself. Yeah, I like to write things down. What up, Kels? Appreciate you for tapping in. J.R. says Wizards team total under. That number for the Wizards team total under is 116.5 is available on FanDuel. That's a lot of points to score, man. I know the Bulls defense is not great. I'm gonna have to add that to the list too, though. Definitely gonna have to add that to the list. Washington team total under 116.5. Yeah, I could not talk you off of that, Jerry. Dropping down says 24-25 Wizards losses have been by at least 9 points. What does that look like recently, though, Dropping? I feel like they've been a little bit more competitive recently. The Wizards have been, and I could be wrong. I know that they just got smoked by the Knicks in that last game. Let's see. All right, so lost to the Knicks by lost to the Knicks by 20, lost to the Knicks by 4, beat the Hornets by 3, lost to the Thunder by 18. So the losses have come against good teams. Knicks and Thunder, both 18 and 20. Lost to the Bucks by 11, beat the Hornets by 9. So outside of beating the Hornets, they haven't really been doing anything else. Lost to the Celtics by 14, lost to the Cavs by 10, lost to the Grizzlies by 28, beat the Nuggets by 9. So at the crib as a home dog getting less than 10. What if they're getting less than 10? 3-6 straight up, 3-6 against the spread. So if they're expected to keep the game within single digits, they have won the last 2 to the Hornets, lost by 28 to the Grizzlies, lost by 25 to the Clippers, 19 to the Bulls. We're going all the way back to Thanksgiving, though. So I think recent form, if Zach LaVine is in, I could see Chicago winning the game and covering the number, but Wizards team total under, I think, makes a little bit more sense to me. D-Ray says opposite. He likes over. LJ says Bulls team total over on the road is 14-3. I remember him talking about this in the last game against Charlotte. Team total over for the Bulls makes a lot of sense too. Let's see. What else I got for me here? Under or nothing, JRA says. Appreciate you for becoming a member, T-Matt. When I make official plays, they will be sent out to your email that you used to sign up. Christian says, any trends for New Year's Day? Assuming these guys. So I already talked about that. You just got to go back, Christian. Got to go back a little bit, but there are some trends. Just went through them already. First thing we talked about. Jabari says, if the Wizards stay in the game, the opposing team player props are always easy cash. Changed my mind on the over. It may be too much. I think it's a tad bit too many points as well. Let's get over to the next game. We got a lot more. The Nets and the Raptors won't be here long, man. I absolutely have no idea what to do with this game. So we got injury report first. Zaire Williams is listed as questionable. Cam Thomas is already ruled out due to injury management. So only came back for one game, but he's going to sit out in this one. And then Cam Johnson is off the injury report. He is off the injury report. On the Toronto side, we'll have to wait for them to submit an injury report. RJ Barrett, of course, did not play yesterday. Grady Dick also did not play yesterday. And Quickly is supposed to be back very, very soon. Toronto did exactly what I thought they would do yesterday. Absolutely got rolled up in Boston. Boston was coming off that loss against the Pacers and just kind of flexed their muscle one time. Say, you know what? Like, we can still do this. We can still beat teams by 50. And they absolutely smoked the Toronto Raptors yesterday. So you got the head-to-head matchup. Brooklyn has won 3 straight in 8 of the last 10. They've been, two of these teams that really neither one of them wants to win. You got a 7-27 Toronto team and a 12-20 Brooklyn Nets team that, Brooklyn's like, hold on, we need to lose more games. I'm not sure. I'm guessing D'Angelo Russell is going to be a part of this game. We know he was just traded from the Los Angeles Lakers for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. I'm not sure if he's going to be available. Looks like Ben Simmons is projected to be the starting point guard. Not 100% sure what's going to happen. Brooklyn, like I said, they have won 3 straight, 8 of the last 10 against Toronto. They've covered 8 of the last 10, so they play this team really, really well. They do have the rest advantage. The totals are 9-1 to the under, even though the Raptors defense is bottom probably 3 last 5 games. They just continue to get smoked. I talked about, one of the reasons why I thought Boston was going to be able to score the basketball yesterday. And we know one thing about Brooklyn, they, think that they're the Golden State Warriors. They shoot a ton of threes. So if they get hot from the 3-point line, especially with Cam Johnson being there, I can see Toronto really, really struggling. Toronto has been playing. They were playing a lot better at home than they were on the road, but not recently, man. This team has been absolutely getting rolled off the floor. The Atlanta Hawks went in, even with the Raptors flipping to a favorite, won that game by 25 plus. And then, like I said, they just lost by 50. The Grizzlies also beat them up really bad by, I think, more than 20 the other day as well. Toronto, second worst defensive rated team last 5 games, second worst in opponent effective field goal percentage. Teams are shooting 61% from the field. That's both 3s and 2s combined. They're giving up the most offensive rebounds, which is interesting because Jakob Poeltl is typically a pretty good rebounder. Brooklyn doing a really good job on the boards. They're 10th in opponent in offensive rebound rate last 5 games. Not scoring the basketball though. Brooklyn is a bottom 5 offensive rated team, both in points scored and effective field goal percentage. They're turning the ball over at the 3rd highest rate. You don't like any of that, especially with Toronto being right outside the top 10 in turnover rate for their opponents. But as I mentioned, Brooklyn wants to shoot a ton of threes. 8th in corner 3 frequency, 14th in corner and above the break 3 frequency. So 9th in overall 3-point frequency, 9th in 3-point accuracy as well. They're shooting 38%, which is right outside right inside the top 10. And the Toronto Raptors is one thing that they cannot stop right now. Above the break 3, opponent 3-point accuracy is actually second worst in the NBA. Teams are shooting 43% from the 3-point line above the break 3. 41.4% last 5 games is what the Toronto Raptors are giving up from the 3-point line. So don't like that at all if you want to back the Toronto Raptors here, having to travel back from Boston. They are coming off a couple games where they've absolutely got smoked. They'll put it together eventually. I don't know which team wants to win the game, if I'm being honest. So we'll just see, what's going on here. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. All right. Let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. I wrote in my notes, I think Toronto has lost 11 games straight too. Failed to cover 4 in a row. Brooklyn, they've lost 7 of their last 10, including 4 of the last 5. Back-to-back losses against San Antonio and Orlando, and they've kind of laid down against Orlando. They had a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter. So, like I said, neither one of these teams really want to win. I'm not going to be involved in this game. Let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. Raptors smoke them, in my opinion, Alfonso says. Joe says, Chris, don't let me do it. I kind of like Toronto. Hey, Joe, you do what it is that you like, my brother. I'm not going to be on this one. I will not. If a team gets a 20-point lead, I'll bet the opposite team to come back, especially if it's Toronto. Toronto have been really good, man. It feels like it's been a while, but Toronto have been really good, at home, specifically as a dog. Just not recently. And like I said, Brooklyn, I don't think they really want to win no game. So I'm going to be short. I told you guys I was going to be short on this one. I just want to look into the Raptors real quick as a home dog and just kind of see what's been going on. So I don't even think I got to type in dog. I think all the games, they've been a favorite twice this year. They lost to the Nets as a favorite, 94-101 back on the 19th. So Two teams kind of going against each other again. That total was 217.5. This one is a little bit higher at 220.5. So I guess the books are expecting a few more points, which makes sense because the Raptors not playing defense. The Raptors are 11-5 against the number against the spread at the crib, 68.8%. They failed to cover against the Hawks, did cover against the Rockets, and failed to cover against the Nets. I think a big part of it is not just Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett. You kind of want RJ in my opinion, if you want to play this game here. So Jacob says he's CLV king. He got the Nets plus 1.5. CLV has been trash, in my opinion, in the NBA this year because injury report is so crazy. GLB Best says Toronto as a home dog is money, but LJ pointed this out, that is active on the Brooklyn Nets since 2019 when rested road favorites are 34-12 against the spread when facing the unrested team off a loss. Well-rested road favorites, 34-12 against the spread when facing the unrested team off a loss. So if this was a regular game between two competitive teams that weren't trying to get Cooper flagged, this would make sense in my opinion, GLB Best. It would tell me that the Toronto Raptors coming off a 50-point loss, if they have anything, it'll be in the first quarter, first half. The Brooklyn Nets should win the game the longer the game goes on, being that they are the much more rested team. So Brooklyn probably is the right side. And I kind of agree with the trend. I just don't know if Brooklyn want to win games. Steve Ray says he likes the Nets outright. D'Lo going to be gunning when he gets in the lineup. It's what he did last time he was there in Brooklyn. Makes sense. Easy pass. I'm with you, Jay Aries. Taylor says Ben Simmons over 6.5 assists in this spot. Over in 7 of his last 8 games versus teams ranked 15th or worse in assists allowed. Averaging 8.8. So looking at Ben Simmons, I couldn't talk you off. Alfonso says total of 221 without Cam Thomas is diabolical. Gotta be a trap. Yeah. Mark passing. Tasha says she like Claxton to get 2 blocks. I'm passing too, man. I'm passing. I appreciate you guys for tapping in on this game. I'm not touching it. Not touching it, man. Not touching it. 1-800-GAMBLER game. With you, Pete. I'm with Pete on this one, man. Can't play this game. We got a lot of things we can do with our money to start the new year. I don't think we want to put it on the Nets or the Raptors. I do lean. You know what? I don't got to lean. Next game, you got the Pelicans and the Heat, man. This line open 10. I think I saw last night. I think I wrote down 10 in my notes. 9.5 at least, and the total was at 222. It looks like it's still it's coming down now. 221. It looks like it's consensus. Total spread actually coming down to 8.5 as well. So I put this in my notes last night. I said, this is what I wrote. I said, Miami is a nice place to bring in the new year. That will probably have a little bit more of an impact on the Pelicans, in my opinion, because they're not from Miami. Whereas Miami may not, the Miami Heat may not, feel that much of an impact. I don't know what the Pelicans did last night. I didn't get a chance. I haven't seen anything about them partying or turning up. But not that New Orleans isn't a nice place to be, to bring in the new year as well. But Miami is a little bit different, and I wanted to make sure I noted that in my handicap here because the Pelicans haven't been great, man. I think 8.5 is a tad bit too many points for the Heat to be laying. So let's get into the injury report. Jose Alvarado is very close to returning. He's listed as doubtful in this game. I talked about this the other day. He has been going through practices and some full contact, probably trying to recondition himself, but he's listed as doubtful. Don't expect him to play. Josh Richardson on the Miami Heat is out. Duncan Robinson is questionable. Jimmy Butler will play. First game back for him in quite some time. Terry Rozier is suspended for a game because of the altercation that happened between the Houston Rockets in their last game. Head-to-head, Heat have won 8 of the last 10. They've covered 7 of the last 10. First meeting of the season between these two teams. So the Heat have kind of owned the Pelicans. We know that the Pelicans, I didn't pull this up, but the Pelicans, I'll pull it up really quickly. The Pelicans have been absolutely trash on the road. On the road this season, 1-14 straight up, 3-12 against the spread, only covering 20%. So if you blindly fade the Pelicans every road game, you're up a ton of money, man. 80% is what you'd be hitting right now. Back-to-back spots where they didn't cover in their last 2 games against the Rockets and the Pacers. They did get a cover in there against the Spurs. I lost the game by 5, was getting 7 in that spot. But before that, 2 more non-covers against the Hawks and the Knicks. 7-8 to the over under in this spot, losing by an average of 18 points per game. Like, I know it's an ugly spot, man. It's an ugly spot. The Miami Heat should be able to get the job done, but I do feel like it's a tad bit too many points. I think the Pelicans have lost 17, 18 straight games as well. It's been a lot of games that they've lost in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they've lost 10 in a row. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they've lost 19. They've lost 19 of their last 20 games. Only lone win came against the Phoenix Suns. This is a terrible franchise right now, man. I can't. Man, 9.5 is a lot of points, though. I'll just say that. For the Miami Heat, they beat the Houston Rockets 104 to 100. They were getting 8.5 points in that game on Sunday, so they're well rested as well. After losing against the Atlanta Hawks the night before, this is the first leg of a back-to-back for the Miami Heat. They got the Indiana Pacers coming into town tomorrow. So looking at the Heat as a favorite this season, just 8-11 against the spread, only covering 42% of the time. If they're a home favorite, they're 6-6 against the spread, so they cover one, don't cover one. I'm not into laying a bunch of points with the Heat. And if they're laying, let's just say 2 possessions or more, 6-1 to the under. So if they're a 5.5 point favorite or more, the books are expecting them to win by 2 possessions. They are 6-1 to the under, 6-1 straight up, only 4-3 against the number, winning by an average of about 10 points per game. I just can't quite get there with the Heat laying this big of a number, though. I do agree with the money coming in on the Pelicans here, pushing this from 9 down to 8.5. I think that's the way I would play it if I had to, but not in a rush to go put my money on the Pelicans right now, if I'm being honest. I think this is a very, very ugly game. Didn't really look into player props at all either. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. Mark talking about the last games. There's way too many other options right there with him. Raptors a limit assist to guards is what Jacob says, and I do agree with that. New Year, same Pelicans, still trash. Yeah, I can't quite get there with them, man. Pel definitely ain't practice, Charles says. Brian says Miami first half, possibly first quarter, team total over. But New Year, I don't know who to trust. Don't know who to trust. Billy says Happy New Year, Chris. Thanks for the Raptors team total under. Easiest W that he had all season. You know what? I couldn't even celebrate it yesterday, Billy. I couldn't celebrate it because I really because I pushed on the Celtics first half. They were winning by 10 and then win the third quarter by 30. They crushed me yesterday. I got a push and then I missed on Tatum rebounds. So I went 1-1 in the game, 1-1 in that game. Still ended up being profitable because the team total under was a bigger play, but I was really upset about that. I was really upset about that, man. All right, let's see. What else y'all saying about this one? New Year's Day game in Miami. Give me the under. The under makes sense. Under does make a lot of sense. The total is dropping as well. I think I might look a little bit deeper into the under. I think I could look a little deeper into the under. New Orleans, Miami, under 222, I think is the number. 6-1 are the Heat as a home favorite of 5.5 points or more. Those games are averaging 214 points. Charles says 2 teams I can't stand. I don't really like either one of these teams either. Free nobody on the Pelicans. Keep them there. Maybe free Jordan Hawkins. I like Jordan Hawkins a lot. I like DeJounte Murray still. Misi plays really hard. I like Trey Murphy. I like him a lot. UVA, Trey Murphy. Heat money line at Haysmith over his points, rebounds, and assists for Pete on his short list. Tasha says they were partying last night. Under. I think I like under too. I'm gonna look a little deeper into the under after the show. Let's move over to the next one. Speed up a little bit. We got Knicks and Jazz. Another game I'm not interested in betting before I see what happens with the injury report. Brunson is listed as questionable. He's been questionable the last 2 games, though. Both of those games I don't think he was questionable against the Magic, which was 3 games ago, but he was questionable in both of those games against the Washington Wizards. Played in both of them. He continues to pop up on the injury report. This line has moved down with him being listed as questionable in this game, though. This opened at 14.5, down to 13.5. Total opened 231.5, down to 230.5. So outside of Brunson being listed as questionable for the Knicks, which I want to say that's the only player. Let me just double check. Yeah, just Brunson. John Collins is listed as doubtful, man. I thought the Utah Jazz were in a really good, advantageous spot last game against the Denver Nuggets at the crib. They were getting 7.5 points, and they still end up getting smoked in that game. They don't play as well without John Collins. They need him to be that effective rebounding team. I know they still got Walker Kessler, they still got Lauri Markkanen, but he means a ton to this team. Not sure how much the Knicks care about this game. On one hand, you can say the Knicks care a lot because they this is a revenge spot. They went into Utah as laying 8.5 points like 2 months ago. I think it was back in November. They got smoked in that game. Lost the game outright by. What did they lose that game by? I thought I wrote it in my notes. They lost the game by double digits, I want to say. They lost the game by double digits, and the game went under the 234 is what I wrote in my notes. The totals between these two teams are 8-2 to the under in the last 10 games. That automatically makes me want to look towards the under. They lost by 11. That's what it was. Knicks lost. I did write it in my notes. They lost by 11. They were laying 7.5 points in that game. So you got a big revenge spot here for New York. New York just isn't really playing up to the standard that, especially at home. Last time I laid points with the Knicks at the Garden was on Christmas Day, and this will be their first game returning back home since that game. And they won the game by 3 points to the Spurs. Now the Spurs are a lot better than the Jazz. Don't get it twisted. But if I'm laying this big of a number, which I'm not going to, I do for sure. I want Jalen Brunson to be a part. And I think Utah could hang maybe for one half, and then they end up getting smoked. I think they probably continue to turn the ball over a lot. If John Collins isn't playing, I really don't want to back the Jazz. I know that sounds crazy because John Collins shouldn't mean that much, but against a Knicks team that has a bunch of scrappy players that, is a really good rebounding team with Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby and Josh Hart, like I kind of want John Collins to be a part of, even if I want to take the 13.5 points here with the Jazz. And I think the Jazz had covered 5 games in a row before they ended up losing to the New York, before they ended up getting smoked to the Denver Nuggets the other day. But just like the Denver Nuggets, the Knicks can shoot a ton of threes. The Jazz don't do a great job defending the 3-point line. The Knicks can turn you over. The Jazz do a terrible job of protecting the basketball. And those are the reasons why I don't really want to get there with taking the points with the Jazz. But I can't lay 13.5 without knowing the status of Jalen Brunson. Even with Jalen Brunson, I don't think I'm laying 13.5 with the Knicks, even though they're a much better team. All right, let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. Real quick handicap there. Let's see. Oh, JLB Best, going back to the last game, says, I like Miami. Adding them to my list to review after the show. Teams off 3 or 4 covers facing a non-conference opponent with the losing record are 23-11 against the number, 27-7 straight up, 21-12-2-1 to the over. So I don't like that over trend, but nice trend there by GLB Best for sure. What else are you guys seeing about this one specifically? I might have went too far back. Heat arrested, first game of a back-to-back. Mark says, Aaron says New Orleans had that car plow into the crowd last night. Some players might be pretty distracted. I didn't even see that. I got to look into that. I will be starting this comment. Okay. GLB Best says careful with the under. Line is 220 now. Oh, it's come down 2 points on all books. I got to check into that. Cat rebounds and assists for Jacob makes a ton of sense. 15.5 makes a ton of sense here. Jacob also likes McBride over his points. Miles McBride, Deuce McBride. I could see McBride having a big game, especially if he plays extensive minutes. Tibbs won't let Brunson sit out. Yeah, I was looking at something from one of the beat writers for the Knicks yesterday, and he said something along the lines of like, it was like top 5 players who've played the most minutes this in the month of December. And of the top 5 players who was playing the most minutes in December, I think 4 of them were Knicks. It was like Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby, Towns. It was crazy. Tibbs will absolutely run you into the ground. Fonzo says Knicks lost outright to the Jazz. Maybe they come out with a sense of urgency since they only play each other twice a year. Knicks -8 in the first half. So let's look at the Knicks real quick in revenge spots this season. See if they take them serious. Knicks are 0-1 in revenge spots this season. They lost to I was on the Hawks. Oh, well, no, I was on the Knicks in the first game. So remember they lost against the Hawks in Atlanta outright. And then they played in the Cup game and lost that game outright as well. So Knicks are 0-1 straight up, 0-1 against the spread, 0-1 to the 1-0 to the under in revenge games this season. Only have one revenge game so far. So that's a little bit of a number to kind of verify that. Cat rebounds, yeah, I would be looking towards cat rebounds, Brian. I do think it's a good number. Dropping dimes says this game might look like the Raptors Celtics yesterday. I think it could be a massacre. I guess it could potentially, man. I need to look a little bit deeper into the game, but I always tell you guys, when teams have a star player on the injury report that could really rest, like Brunson is not needed to win this game. Tibbs eventually, I know he's been running his players into the ground, and I agree with what Jabari said. Like I wouldn't say he's not letting players rest, but I think the players want to play. It wouldn't surprise me if he was like, you know what, I'll take this one off. We'll beat the Jazz here. This will be the game I take off. So just something to kind of take into consideration. The Knicks have been winning games. They've won 8 straight. So something to take into consideration. Real quick to what Dropping Dimes put here. Knicks last 5 games, 16th in defensive rating. They've taken a step back. Jazz 28th in defensive rating. They've just terrible, giving up 123 points per 100 possessions. Bottom 10 in opponent effective field goal percentage. They're not forcing turnovers, forcing the second fewest turnovers. The Knicks, top 5 offensive rated team, both in scoring and effective field goal percentage. Also not turning the ball over, 5th in turnover rate. Jazz are shooting a ton of threes. And if they get hot, could be like San Antonio on Christmas Day. 4th in 3-point frequency, 3rd in 3-point accuracy for the Utah Jazz. Last 5 games. Knicks, 22nd last 5 games in opponent 3-point accuracy. They allowed the Wizards to get hot in their first game that went to overtime. Just some things to take into consideration. I'm not betting it. Mark says, can't trust the Knicks. Starting the new year with a few passes. And I'm right there with you, Mark. Not laying it here. Jacob says, Utah plus 14.5, just too much. So he thinks that the Knicks can win, but maybe won't be by margin. What up, Lightbearer? Appreciate you for tapping in. Knicks are rolling, but I can't lay double digits with them. City limits say, yeah, and I agree. Let's look at the Knicks real quick. Knicks is a double digit favorite. 5-0 straight up, 3-0-2 against the number though. So Knicks have been covering in this spot. They 3-0-2 against the number. They were laying 14 points. They got a push against the Raptors. They were laying 14 and won the game by 14. I think they covered the 13.5 though. They were laying 15 against the Hornets. They beat the Hornets by 24. They were laying 12 against the Pelicans, beat the Pelicans by 33. They were laying 14.5 against the Wizards. They beat the Wizards by 28. We're laying 10 against the Knicks, against the Nets to start the season back right before Thanksgiving and won that game by 10. So 2 pushes in here, but the Knicks, let's see, are they 5-0 to their team total over? Nah, two games they went under. But they're scoring 126 points per game in this spot are the Knicks as a double-digit home favorite this season. Remember against the Spurs, I think they were laying 9. So just something to take into consideration. All right. Let's go to the next game. Hot TV Grits real quick says the happiest of New Year to all. Looking forward to getting some money with the group. Love the energy here. Pass for me on this game though. Right there with you, Hot TV Grits. Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Let's move over to the next one. Appreciate you as well, True. He says, peace, Chris. Happy New Year's. Appreciate you, bro. He says Knicks blowout. Good prop spot. Could be a good prop spot if you like some stuff on the Knicks, but if it's anything like Dropping Dom said, and this, potentially like the Boston game yesterday, especially with Knicks having a revenge, the props could go to die. Jason Tatum had, I think, 6 rebounds at halftime, finished with 8 because he didn't play the fourth quarter. So only 2 in the third quarter, and that goes to die. Next game up, we got Rockets and the Mavericks. 1, 2, 3 more games left. So Rockets and the Mavs, line open 5.5. I don't think that it's moved. At least when I last checked, it hadn't moved. It's coming down to 5. I think that's the right way. Looks like it opened 222 and a half. I wrote 221 and a half, and it's up to 222. It looks like it's up to 222. All right, so Dylan Brooks is not on the injury report. Derek Lively is listed as questionable. Clay and Kyrie are off the injury report. They should be back for the Dallas Mavericks in this spot. Tari Eason is listed as questionable for the Rockets. Jayshawn Tate is off the injury report for the Rockets. And then Sir Thompson, of course, is going to be suspended for 2 games for body slamming Tyler Hero a couple games ago. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything injury report wise. Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, Luka is out. Najee Marshall is serving. I think this will be his 3rd game. I think the last game of a 3-game suspension for Najee Marshall. He will not be active in this game. It's a 4-game suspension for him. And I think this will be the 3rd game for Najee Marshall, not having him out there. So no Najee Marshall, no Luka, potentially no Lively. He's listed as questionable. He didn't play in that last game. And Dallas ended up, after even starting the game off super strong against the Kings, still ended up losing the game and didn't cover the spread. Just playing with a bunch of backups. Like their whole starting lineup was outside of PJ Washington. They were down 4 starters in that game. So looking at this game and, as far as a head-to-head, Dallas typically takes these like in-state games, in these Texas games pretty serious. They, own the Spurs, own the Houston Rockets. Like it's been that way for quite some time. The Dallas Mavericks have actually beaten the Rockets 7 of the last 10 games. They do have revenge in this game here though, because they did lose the only game that they played earlier this season. They beat hold on. I wrote in my notes. I think they lost. I want to say they lost. Let me just double check it real quick. I think the Houston Rockets won the game that they played earlier this season. We're going to go out on a limb and say that the Mavs lost the first time that they played. Yeah, the Mavs lost the first time that they played. So they do have revenge. I think I wrote it in my notes wrong. They were getting 6.5, 7 points in that. They were laying 6.5, 7 points. The Mavs were in that game. This was way back on October the 31st, back on Halloween. Lost the game outright. Lost the game outright 108-102 in that spot. Laying 6.5 points in that game. Situationally for Dallas, something tells me they're probably going to get up for this game, especially coming off back-to-back losses. They lost to Portland on the second leg of a back-to-back, and after beating the Suns in Phoenix. And then, of course, they just lost to Sacramento with a depleted roster. Now you got Clay, you got Kyrie, you got PJ Washington. We know Clay, whatever reason, he's the Rocket killer. Like, just go back and look at Clay game logs versus the Rockets. It don't matter. It don't even matter which team he's been on. I think he had a good game in the first time these two teams played on his first matchup with Dallas as well. So taking those things into consideration, potentially like PJ's back now. Lively returns. I do think that Dallas keeps this game within the number. I think defensively we see them play a little bit better. We know Houston has been really good at the crib. They are coming off back-to-back losses to the Minnesota Timberwolves. When Anthony Edwards hit the game winner, they offensively they can really struggle to score the basketball. And I think Dallas can come out here and play defense to keep this within the number as well. They had the Houston Rockets had won 4 straight games before losing those back-to-back games, but if they're not going to be at full strength here, I can't trust right now. I can't trust the Rockets offense to be able to win games by multiple possessions. So I agree with the money coming in here. I haven't bet the Dallas Mavericks quite yet. Really want Lively in there because the Rockets do a really great job of rebounding. Lively back, of course, that's going to be a much better, rebounder. The on-off splits, I'm not going to bring them up right now, but talked a lot about how much impact Lively has on the game. So I'll play Dallas here plus the 5.5 if Derek Lively's in with the Dallas Mavericks coming off back-to-back losses. Even though, like I said, the Houston Rockets are also coming off back-to-back losses. Let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. I guess I didn't really think too much about the total. We know that the Mavs play a little bit faster without Luka. Both teams coming off back-to-back losses. Both teams are, I think, top 10 defensive rated teams over the full season. So I guess I look a little bit more towards the under in this spot, even though Dallas plays a little bit faster without Luka. But I would want Lively in if I'm playing the under. Definitely want Lively in if I'm playing the under. Houston, offensively, they just don't do it for me. Dallas, the 10th rated defensive team on the full season. Houston, second defensive rated team on the full season. Dallas is 15th in pace on the full season. Houston is 7th. Last 5 games, Dallas is 18th in pace. I'm sorry, last 3 games, Dallas is 18th in pace. Houston is 22nd in pace. Houston is the second best defensive rated team last 5 games. Dallas is the number 8th rated defensive team last 5 games. So yeah, Houston is averaging game combined. They're averaging right at 221 points in their last 5 games. And then Dallas Mavericks are averaging right at 221. So both of these teams right around this number. I think it could be played at a slower pace. Dallas isn't pushing as much as I thought they were. 19th in frequency, 25th in points allowed per 100 possessions. Houston also best defensive transition defense in the NBA last 5 games. And I want to say they're top 5 on the full season as well. So yeah, I think a look towards the under, and like I said, I got to take the points. I don't think Dallas is going to want to, I don't think they're going to take this game lightly. Put it like that. I think they can keep it within 2 possessions, even without Luka here. Let's see, Dallas. Yeah, outside of getting to the rim, Houston is red across the whole board. Every shot zone last 5 games is red. In the paint, red, both frequency and accuracy. Long mid-range, accuracy is 26th. All mid-range, 16th and 28. Corner 3, shooting the 3rd worst percentage. All threes, 22nd in frequency, 22nd in accuracy. So they're bottom 10 in every one of these shot zones outside of rim accuracy. So Sengun, especially if Derek Lively plays, could be a look towards him to go under. A look towards the Houston Rockets team total to go under. Dallas is 6th in opponent rim accuracy, so they should really struggle to score the basketball. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the clip, like looking at the teams, the way I got it set up in my model. It reminds me a little bit of the Clippers and the Spurs yesterday, because the Clippers are not a great 3-point shooting team. They profile very, very similar to the Houston Rockets, where they like to get to the rim. You got Sengun, you got Zubac, and like I said, the Rockets are shooting the 10th in rim frequency, 5th in rim accuracy. But Dallas, similar to the Spurs, do a really good job of protecting the rim. 6th in rim accuracy, 8th in paint accuracy last 5 games. And on the full season, top 10 in both as well. Excuse me. So yeah, I think under, and I think points here is what I'd be taking, not laying with the Rockets right now. Let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. Trying to get back to the top. Clay under for Jacob, under 17.5 points and assists. No props on double spreads. Right there with you, Justin. I should have probably did that yesterday myself, even though Derek White did go up and over his points prop. All right, let's see. So we got Rockets first half was money before their last road trip. It was, absolutely was. Big Smoothie says, every time I put my money on Jabari Smith Jr., he forget how to play basketball. Houston first quarter and under for Brian. Joe says Rockets plus 3.8, Mavs plus 1.1 in the first quarter. Also found since 2020, when both teams are off 2 losses and over 50%. The home favorite is 15-7 against the spread, so favors the Rockets in this spot. C-Ray says Houston at home is money, but 5.5. I don't know. So I mean, they were covering, kind of like the Clippers. I mean, Clippers just had 2 back-to-back really head-scratching games. When you can't, limit the Pelicans offense, and then you get smoked because you can't score the basketball or get stops against the Spurs. It feels like that's what we're seeing right now, some aggression, and it comes right. Like we don't expect the Rockets to go, 40. They're not going to be, like 38-4 against the spread at the crib. It's going to be some times where they don't cover, and that's what they're going through right now. They've actually failed to cover 3 of their last 4 games. They lost outright to the Blazers, and that was like before Thanksgiving. They won against the Warriors in the Cup game, but didn't cover. They were laying 3 in that spot. They beat the Pelicans and covered, but the Pelicans are trash. We were on the first half in that spot, and then they lost to the Heat outright with the rest advantage. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I will say the unders have been cash. 1, 2, 3, 3 straight unders, one over against the Pelicans, and then another under against the Heat. So 4-1 to the under. Last 5 games is a home favorite for the Rockets. Games are averaging 218 points. Let's see real quick. The Mavs' road dogs this season are 5-5 straight up, 6-4 against the number. About even in point differential, and 8-2 to the over. You don't like that. 8-2 to the over. A lot of these games probably did have Luka though. 2-1 to the under in last 3 though. They went under against the Kings, over against the Warriors. That was a game nobody could miss a shot. 300 points were damn near scored in that one. And then they went under against the Thunder as well. 104 to 118. That was the Cup game. So 2-1 to the under last 2 games. I lean under. Mark says he leans under. Houston coming off that a Heat loss, smash spot here. The Mavs also coming off back-to-back losses, JW. You got to be careful. Got to be careful with that. Joe says, damn, Mavs are 5-1 against the spread in revenge games this season. Enough for me to pass. I think they take this one serious. Don't fade the Rockets at home, Jacob says. I mean, what did I say the number was? 8-5 against the spread. Mavs 6-4 against the number as a road dog though. So I think 5.5 is too many though. 77 figures says Dallas says more grown-ups. Young Rockets still got thotties in the bed. Mavs +6 for him. That's the way I would look as well. Dropping down says almost to the window with the Rockets. Team total under 113.5. I would wait, dropping down. I will wait for Lively. Real quick, I said I won't gonna pull this up, but I'll pull it up. It'll take like 2 seconds. To your point, dropping down, because I can see that the Rockets struggling to score the basketball here. Derek Lively on the floor this season. Just Derek Lively. The defensive rating goes from a 106 with Derek Lively on the floor. They're winning by 12 points. They're outscoring their opponent by 12 points per 100 possession. Defensive rating is a 106. With Derek Lively off the floor, they're up and over to 113.5, giving up 115 points per 100 possessions with Derek Lively on the floor. Derek Lively off the floor. So that's what I mean. Like it's a 11-point differential with Derek Lively on the floor versus him being off the floor. That's why I would wait on that team total under dropping dimes. But yeah, if he plays, I like the plus points, and I can definitely get there with a team total under. Keelan, I pronounced it wrong. I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. Email me, said, Chris, you pronounced my name wrong, but it's all good, bro. Appreciate you for tapping in. He says, taking no days off. We can't take days off, man. We need the cash. Drop DJ. What up, DJ? He says PJ Washington over his 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists with no Luka is a cheat code. He's been cashing this a lot. He's been absolutely cashing it a lot. I want to pull this up real quick because I know Derek talks about this a lot, and it cashed again yesterday. Not yesterday, but 2 games ago. He cashed this. So I'll share my screen real quick, go back over to Outlier. Again, if you guys are interested, definitely check out the promo code. You can get 7-day free trial just by using the link in the description of the video. So let's look at PJ Washington real quick. Now we know he has a really difficult matchup in this game because the Rockets are the second best defensive team in the NBA. But let's look at PJ Washington real quick. I think Derek was saying points plus rebounds. If you've been paying attention to the shows, then you know that this is what's been cashing for him. So this line is up to 19.5 now. If you look at the games right here, you go in, you filter these games to no Luka this season. Boom, it gets really, really green. These are the last 10 games, and all of these come from this season. You can actually look at the whole season. 8 of his 10 games, he's up and over the number. Is PJ Washington up and over his points plus rebounds without Luka on the floor. So he's doing a lot more. You can see the rebound chances are there, 15, playing 34 minutes, staying out of foul trouble, only averaging 2.3, shooting 46% from the field on 13 attempts, 51% from the three-point line, so it's up and over 1.5 threes might be a good look. Shooting 83% from the free throw line. So yeah, PJ Washington up and over. This is points plus rebounds. If we add the assists in and we do the same exact thing, we take Luka off the floor, you can see same thing, right? 8 of the last 10. It's the same exact stuff, right? You just add, you add in the assists. You can also look over here, see that the Rockets are really good in points allowed, 3rd best team, rebounds allowed, 10th best team, assists allowed, 2nd best team. You can go to the power forward position. It drops a little bit. So his points might be a good look. Rebounds 10th and assists 9th. So appreciate you for pointing this out, DJ. Like this a lot. All right, let's get back into it. Get into the rest of the games. But I do lean strong lean towards the Rockets plus the Dallas Mavericks plus the points in that game, and I think a look towards the under. But I want Derek Lively in if I'm playing the under. Definitely want some Lively in if I'm playing the under for sure. All right. I'm gonna actually add Derek Lively to the short list as well. I like that points plus rebounds and I like the points plus rebounds. I'm not gonna take the assists. What was that number for rebounds and assists? I'm sorry. Plus points plus rebounds is 19.5. 19.5 feels doable. Over 19.5 points plus rebounds for PJ Washington. All right. Let's keep it moving. And like I said, if Lively is ruled in, I do like Dallas plus the points as well. Plus the 5. If you can still get a 5.5, that's where I would look, but I want Lively in. All right, next game, we got the Atlanta Hawks and the Denver Nuggets. This line open with the with the Nuggets laying 5. Got pushed to 5.5. Is currently sitting at 5.5 here. Total hasn't really moved a lot. 246, some 246.5s out there as well. So I don't know. I don't play totals this high. Like you just need one poor quarter and you're cooked. Looking at the injury report on Atlanta side, we'll start. Dyson Daniels is listed as probable. I think he did play in that game. I think he played in the game against the. No, he's actually missed the last 2 games. He missed the Toronto game and he missed the Miami game, and Atlanta was still able to get the job done. Trae Young is listed as probable. Bogdanovich is game time decision. He's listed as questionable, and Larry Nance continues to remain out. On the opposite side for the Denver Nuggets, it's just Aaron Gordon who will continue. I think this will be his 3rd or 4th straight game. Denver has actually owned the Atlanta Hawks recently. They're 4-0 straight up and against the spread in the last 4, including the game that they played early this season when Denver went on the road into Atlanta with no Jalen Johnson. I think that's important to mention. No Jalen Johnson. Won that game 141-111. And Denver was actually getting points. I think they were getting 5 in that spot. If you guys remember, it was the game right after, second leg of a back-to-back. Denver Nuggets had actually just lost to the Washington Wizards the night before, so they had a lot to prove. And then Jalen Johnson being ruled out. We talked about liking Denver in the bounce-back spot there. Denver's actually won 8 of the last 10 in the head-to-head matchup. They've covered 8 of the last 10, so they've been a really difficult matchup for this Atlanta Hawks team. Atlanta's actually balling right now, though. 4 straight wins, 4 straight covers for the Hawks. They got a game. This starts a Western Conference road trip for them. They play the Lakers on Friday. But on the Denver side, back-to-back wins for them against the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz. Not sure how much credit you want to give them for that. They did blow out the Detroit Pistons in that last game, so back-to-back covers for them as well. They host the San Antonio Spurs coming up on Friday. Very, very Jekyll and Hyde team are the Denver Nuggets, so you don't really know what you're going to get. They just had a game where, granted it was against the Utah Jazz, but they had a game where, Jokic had a 36, 23, and 10 assists, 23 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double. In that same game, Jamal Murray had 10 assists. Russell Westbrook had a double-double with 10 assists as well. So that was against the Denver defense. That was against the Utah defense, though. Atlanta, I want to say Atlanta got a little revenge here. And my whole thing with the Atlanta Hawks is just like all teams that play really good offense but don't play as much defense, is you really want to get them, catching points, right? That's why Atlanta was, in my opinion, profitable against the Knicks twice this season. Why they've been profitable against the Bucks, against the Cavs. Like, they have some really good wins against the Celtics. I don't really like laying with Atlanta, and that's one of the reasons I stayed off them against the Hawks the other day. Even though they did win and cover, they were also laying points in Toronto on the second leg of a back-to-back, won that game and covered as well. So with the variance that we've been getting from the Denver Nuggets, and the consistency that we've gotten recently from the Atlanta Hawks, I think that's the way I want to play the game. I'm looking at Atlanta last 5 games. they're not doing anything great, but they are scoring the basketball. Like, they're not doing anything great on the offensive end, but offensively, they've, really done a really good job of scoring the basketball. Denver's not the same defensive team that they were last season. Atlanta's second in points scored per 100 possessions. Actually, the number one team in effective field goal percentage, shooting 62% from the floor. Turning the ball over at a pretty high rate, but that shouldn't be too alarming. Denver doesn't force a lot of turnovers. They're bottom 5 in turnover rate. And the Atlanta Hawks also shoot a ton of free throws. Number 1 in free throw rate over the last 5 games. Denver right outside the top, well, about middle of the league. They're 14th in opponent free throw rate. If we look at Atlanta offensively and we see how they've been scoring the basketball, specifically over the last 5 games where they kind of like picked up some steam, is everywhere. All of a sudden, the Atlanta Hawks learned how to shoot the 3-point shot. They're shooting 43% from 3 last 5 games. On the full season, we talked about them being a bottom 5 3-point shooting team. They're actually still bottom 7 in 3-point shooting overall, but last 5 games, shooting the 3-point shot really well. 42% from 3, which is 42% frequency, which is 7th in the NBA. So shooting the 7th most threes and shooting it at 43%, which is the best in the NBA. They're also attacking the rim, 5th in rim frequency, 6th in rim accuracy. So you love to see all that. A lot of green stuff over here as far as frequency and accuracy for the Atlanta Hawks on the offensive side of the basketball. Push and pace, 1st in frequency, 3rd in points scored per 100 possessions. I think the Hawks are the right side. I know Denver can score the basketball. As far as player prop wise, the guy that really stands out to me here, I'll bring this up really quickly, and let's see if we even got numbers for him, because I didn't even look into this, but I know he's been killing it, been crushing this line lately. Another UVA guy, DeAndre Hunter. So this is DeAndre Hunter's points. Excuse me. This is DeAndre Hunter's points. Last 10 games. You see him listed at 20.5. 70% of his last 10 games, he's gone up and over the number. He opened at 19.5. You can see that right here. He got bet up to 20.5, down to 19.5, back up to 20.5 about 30 minutes ago. You can also see here, Denver Nuggets, bottom 6 defensive rated team against the small forward position. They are 10th, but they will be without Aaron Gordon. DeAndre Hunter's been shooting the basketball well, scoring it. I like DeAndre Hunter a lot in this spot, man. Look at his points, 59% on the full season. We can filter this to road games specifically, 5 of his 9. So last 3, he's gone up and over the number as well. The minutes have been there. If we just go back to take out this home games, look at his last 10. Look at his minutes specifically, 28.5. Love to see that. Shooting 52% from the field, 50% from the 3-point line. So looking at his 3-point prop. Also, this probably correlates well with his 3-point prop. Staying out of foul trouble, getting to the free throw line, shooting 6 free throws a game at 85%. Let's see how well this correlates with his 3-point prop. Boom, there we go. So 2.5 made threes, up and over the number 80% of his last 10 games. 8 of his last 10, he's going up and over the number. 3 of his last 4. You can see here, the Denver Nuggets, worst 3-point defense against the small forward position in the NBA, 30th in 3-point rate. And opponent 3-point allowed. Sorry. Road games on the full season, 4 of his last 4 to 9. Looking at the last 10 games, yeah, I think we did a pretty good job here. I like DeAndre Hunter up and over his 20.5 points, or his 3-pointers up and over 2.5. Not sure which one I'm gonna get to, but probably gonna end up taking one of those. DeAndre Hunter up and over 20.5 points, or his 3-point prop in this game. Let's go through the comments real quick, see what you guys are thinking about this one. And I think we got one more game to get into, and we'll get into a quick recap. All right, so we got, and I'll be taking the points, like I said, not touching the total. Let's see what you guys are thinking. All right, we got, what up, Timothy? Appreciate you for tapping in. That's what I said, Alfonso. 246 is crazy. Michael says sounds like an over game. Dropping down says under. I didn't really put too much thought into the total, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. No thought. When I see 246, I'm like, I'm not trying to take over. Like, contrarian in me automatically gonna want to go under, even though this game could finish 270. Honestly, it finished higher than this last time that these two teams played. Like I said, Jalen Johnson didn't play in that game though. Let's see. Aaron says 48, 14, and 8 for Joker last time he played versus Atlanta. And no Gordon this time. So looking at Joker specifically could not talk you off. I will also look at Nikola Jokic in this spot. You don't even really need stats to look at Nikola Jokic. He's been the best player in basketball, in my opinion. Brian says Denver first half, I think with revenge, Atlanta to keep it within a possession. I agree with that. LJ says he likes over 246.5. He says, I took the over. Denver 10-0 to the over versus the East this season. Atlanta 9-4 to the over versus the West specifically. Okay. Okay. I guess that makes a ton of sense if you're looking at it versus conferences. Denver -5 last night for Mark. So opposite side of what I'm thinking. Haven't bet it yet. GLB Best is one of my favorite under systems is active on this game. I want to take it, but I think I might be playing with fire. What you got, GLB Best? Put it in Discord, man. She says Hawks cover, if not win outright. Nuggets are so inconsistent, man. So inconsistent. Taking Hawks money line. DeAndre Hunter over his points. Marquis says he's been hooping off the bench last few games. Agree with that. GLB Bet says it's based around a road dog who got smoked by their opponent last time they played by over 30. But I just refined it. If the total is over 240, the over starts to kick in. Okay, so it's a little bit more of an over. Justin also likes over. What up, Can't Stop? Happy New Year to you, bro. Jalen Johnson up and over his rebound, under his 9.5 rebounds for Hot TV Grits. Jalen Johnson up and over his 25.5 points and assists for Justin. I can't talk you off, man. This dude's been crushing. Cal says, I missed the last net segment, but I hope Chris gave out Brooklyn money line. It's a smash. Said I had a lean in the game, man, and I hate when me and Cal on the same side because that's typically when we lose, but it was towards the Nets. I think they can get the job done. If RJ Barrett gets rolled in because he missed the last game with an illness, you can get a much better number. They probably flip to the dog, in my opinion, here. But I don't know if I'm going to get there and bet it. Not messing with the total, JB Best says. All right, what else we got? Sports says, how much is your Discord, Chris? I'd love to give you picks on it. My Discord is free for anybody. I don't never say that, I don't think. But yeah, just email me and I'm sending the link to everybody. Yeah, my Discord is free, man. If anybody can gain access as long as you come in with the good vibes. You just need good vibes. No good vibes, you get put out the club. But yeah, just good vibes. C-Ray says, every time I go under on a game like this, it goes over. Probably go Jokic over his rebounds and assists. Couldn't talk you off. Added Scotty Barnes under 7.5 assists on the card, Jacob says. God is happy holidays to you, bro. Happy New Year to you as well. All right, last game, right? We got one more, and it's actually a game that I do like, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers and the Sacramento Kings. Line open 7 in favor of the Sacramento Kings. Came down to 7 to 6.5. Now still kind of lingering around 6.5, 7. Total open 224 is down to 23.5, so a little bit of money coming in on the under here. Injury report on the Philadelphia 76ers side. Joel Embiid is ruled out for this game. Drummond is questionable. Who else? Kyle Lowry questionable. Eric Gordon questionable. On the Sacramento side of things, Jay Crowder is listed as questionable, I think. And then I know for sure that Keegan Murray is listed as doubtful with an ankle injury. So you hate to see that if you like the Sacramento Kings. Keegan Murray's been money for them this season. That's a big part of the handicap here. I don't think, I think Philly needs to win every single game because of where they are right now, 13-17 straight up. It's the only way I'm looking. It's towards Philly. Sacramento 14-19 on the season. They've been a very unprofitable team so far this season. I don't think that just because Joel Embiid has been rolled out in this game that you can take this team lightly. One second. I still think that the Philadelphia 76ers have enough to keep this game within margin. How can you lay 7 points? In my opinion, how can you lay 7 points with the Sacramento Kings here? I can't quite get there. It was at 7 yesterday. It's still some 7s out there. 6.5 is out there as well. I don't like that I see Circa has it at 7 because that's one of the sharper books. But I think Philly keeps the game close. I do think that they keep the game close. Philly's won 4 straight, first leg of a back-to-back. They do got a game against the Warriors tomorrow. I wanted to check and see if that game tomorrow was on national TV or not, because that could really impact this one. Even though, like I said, Joel Embiid isn't going to play. Let me get to it real quick. Let's go to tomorrow's game real quick. Tomorrow, yeah, it's a TNT game tomorrow. That's why. Philly plays Golden State tomorrow on TNT. You don't like that as much at all. Okay. All right. I still like Philly. I still think they can keep it within the number, even though maybe they don't give all their effort in this game. Like I said, this is a 13-17 team trying to make the playoffs. They've won 4 straight, and just because Joel Embiid is out, don't mean I'm laying 7 points with the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento, they did beat the Dallas Mavericks, a shorthanded Dallas Mavericks team 2 nights ago to end a 6-game losing streak. They had actually failed to cover 6 straight games as well. Before that, Doug Christie got his first win. This is the second game of a 3-game homestand for them. I looked into the Joel Embiid stuff last night. Philly is a minus 4.2 in net rating without Joel Embiid on the floor, and a plus 0.4 in net rating with him on the floor. So with them only getting outscored by about 4.5 points, I feel like 6.5 is way too many. Especially, you just need Paul George to do something. He's been out there like just watching paint dry. I feel like he hasn't contributed a lot. I'm expecting Tyrese Maxey to play well. Expecting Philly to play defense in this spot as well. When I was looking at Sacramento, 12-21 against the spread so far this season. They've not been covering. 6-10 against the spread as a home favorite. Like I said, just because the B isn't questionable, I can't quite get there with the Kings laying this big of a number. I'm only looking towards the Philadelphia 76ers plus the 7 in this spot. Let me see if the 7 is still available, because this is a line that I want. This is actually probably my favorite spread. You beat the Dallas Mavericks without 4 starters. Don't mean I'm laying 7 with you. You can get a 7.5 if you want to lay 15 cent of juice over on ESPN Bet right now. That's the best number I see. 7.5. Everywhere else got 6.5. I'll be on the 7.5 in this spot for Philly. That'll be an official play for me. Let's see what you guys are saying before I wrap it up. Sixers plus 7 for Jacob. Love to see it. Maxey over 26.5 points. Love to see it. Maxey has been killing. Real quick, let's look at this real quick. Shout out to Jacob for talking about Maxey. Let's look at Maxey real quick. All right, so Maxey specifically without Embiid. Excuse me. All right, so let's just look at Maxey on the full season. His points prop sitting at 27.5. You probably can get a juice 26.5. You can see on the full season, Maxey's up and over only in 38% of his games. But let's go here. Games played without Joel Embiid. 27.5. Only over in 38% of the games so far this season. Last 10 games, only up and over 2 games. But look at this. Line open 26.5, and then got bet up to 27.5, back down to 26.5, back up to 27.5. all this movement in the market came, you can see here overnight at about 3:30 this morning. Against the point guard position specifically, you can see the Kings do a pretty good job. They're 6th in points allowed to the point guard position. If you want to call, I think that Maxey is the point guard. I actually like his assist prop as well. I know that the trends don't, like this stuff right here doesn't support it, but I do think Maxey gets the job done today. I think they're going to have to lean on him a lot. Paul George should also be someone that steps up and comes to play here. So couldn't talk anybody off looking at potential Paul George to have a somewhat of some life in his game, because he's been terrible recently. It feels like Paul George points are listed at 19.5. Look at this. Look at all these unders. Now, of course, all of these games, some of these games were played with Joel Embiid. He's been the guy that's been, I guess you could say, a little bit more unselfish. But if we look at games without Joel Embiid this season, Paul George is up and over 3 of the last 4. Both of those games against Charlotte, he owned Charlotte and Brandon Miller. And then against Orlando, he did have an 11-point game here against Cleveland. I think this was on the second leg of a back-to-back. Oh, no, it wasn't. I don't think he played on the second leg of a back-to-back. So Paul George points listed at 19.5. I know that the numbers don't support it. Maxey points as well. No, the numbers don't support it, but those would be the ways that I would be looking to play player props. Just kind of feeling like we're getting a buy low spot on PG specifically. And I'm expecting Maxey, both of these guys, to carry the offensive load. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that game specifically. All right, let's go back. Rest of the comments. Appreciate you for becoming a member, Gary. It's a bonus under for Jacob, under 15.5. His rebounds at 15.5 is a lot of rebounds. I think you need Drummond in, because without him, they just got Bonner out there at the center position. But I think that's a lot of rebounds for sure. Andrew says, Chris, shout out to you for your insight on AR double-double last night. Plus 700. Glad you cashed it. That wasn't even my insight. That was the DJ props. I said that I thought that Austin Reeves assist prop was going to be good money moving forward with no D'Lo and JJ Redick trying to use him to initiate the offense a lot more. I got Braun playing off the ball a little bit more, and he crushed the assist line. I know Ski gave it out yesterday as an official play. I didn't play it at all. I put it in the three-leg underdog entry, and of course I hit 2 of the 3. Isaiah Hartenstein was good money. Wemby can't make a 3-pointer to save his life, 1 for 6. So if I played it straight, which I didn't, it was just a very small 0.25 unit parlay over on underdog fantasy. But yeah, he crushed that points, rebounds, and assists. He crushed the assist by itself as well and ended up getting a double-double. So I'm glad you cashed it. Brian says I'm fading. Brim says I'm fading PG blindly here. Maxey open over for Justin as well. We'll get back to you, G421. Definitely get back to you. He is still in the league. He's played in like 5 games, Alfonso. Jay Crowder has. I think every night could be a Jokic night, Germany. Absolutely. Maxey points over. It's simple, user says. Stephen says he doesn't like this game. Dropping Dimes says Kings have done absolutely nothing to warrant this spread. And that's the other thing, Dropping Dimes. I actually circled this one last night before I went to sleep. And I said, I'm probably going to be mad at myself. I really want to play a little bit on Philly tonight. That way I don't get the worst of the number tomorrow. But I wake up and it's still 6. Why are the Kings so overrated? Or is this Philly being underrated because they don't have Joel Embiid? I can't make sense of this line. You got a team that's won 1 game in their last 7 against a team that's won 4 straight games, but they're just missing 1 player. And all of a sudden the Kings are supposed to blow out the 76ers? I can't make it make sense. Like, it makes no sense at all to me. But it's only plus 7.5. Only plus 7.5. Dougie Bone says Kelly Oubre over his points. Sixers fan here. Maxey will be the best player on the floor. 6.5 though. Without Embiid, I still like it. I kind of like the over. Mark says he's leaning Philly plus 6.5 to face Sacramento, but these teams make me queasy. I just don't think it's going to be a double digit win. Let's look at the Kings real quick. I can look at the Kings when they have covered and won. So Kings actually just winning games, home wins so far this season. If the Kings win, they do cover. There's 7 games that they have won. They're 6-1 against the spread. They've covered every single one of them except against the Jazz. And guess how many they were laying against the Jazz? 6.5 points. They won the game by 6. I'm sorry, they won the game by 4. Looking at the 76ers, when they haven't covered, see what that looks like. So road losses, they are in their 8 road losses, only 1-7 against the spread. The only one that they covered was against the Suns. They lost the game by 2. They were getting 5.5 in that spot, but they got smoked by the Cavs, lost to the Grizzlies by 6. They were getting 4.5. Lost to the Heat by 17. They were getting 2.5. So If you're basing it just off, if the team wins, do they cover? Then you do like the Kings a lot today. You want to fade the Sixers, but I can't quite do it. In the Sixers losses, their games only averaging 214 points. In the Kings wins, their games are averaging 226 points. So just some more stuff to kind of go there. But yeah, definitely right here with Mark though, leaning there as well. Tired of Embiid. Shut him down. Can't stand him. I think they just want to make sure he plays tomorrow, and they want to highlight him in the nationally televised game, which is why he's resting here. But bruh, you got to be able to play back to back sooner or later, or your team's gonna be in trouble. Jacob says, I legit hammered the +7. I hope you bet it too, Chris. If not, just bet the 6.5. It doesn't even matter. And I agree with you here. Don't always agree with that take, but I agree with that. DJ Props says Kings lost their last four games versus the Eastern Conference opponents. JB Best says, I did it. Under 246.5 in the Atlanta game. I feel sick now. Just don't watch it. Just don't watch it, man. Brian says, what up, Chris? I'm on the Pistons money line. Pushing Pete. Okay. Yeah, I might live bet that game. Took Philly first half on the road, LJ says. Couldn't talk you off. Philly a pass here for Sheed. DeRozan over jerseys burn. Oh, gosh. Don't do my God DeRozan like that, man. I like DeRozan. Taylor says Sabonis likes his points up and over 19.5, over in 6 of his last 9 games versus team ranked 18th or worse in limited points to the pick and roll. Okay. Helm says he thinks Paul George is the assist man today. He likes him to get 5. Him and Maxey been doing a pretty good job of facilitating the basketball for sure, but PG has been more of a facilitator. I will agree with that, at least in the most recent games. All right, getting into a quick recap. We've been on here for forever. Everything I wrote down on the short list is here. Haven't made a bet yet. Chicago, Washington. This total was at 238 when we talked about it. Feels like 2 days ago, but it's probably about an hour ago. Like it a lot, man. I want to wait to see what happens with Jordan Poole, what happens with Zach LaVine. It sucks that we have to, not make plays until we get the full injury report, but I do think under is the right side. That Washington team total under, somebody pointed that out, under 116.5 feels like a lot of points for the Wizards to score, even though the Bulls know that they're not the greatest team defensively, but they can, limit the 3-point shots, which is what the Washington Wizards want to do. I would look towards them on their team total under as well. The Orlando-Detroit game, I think I'm going to just kind of stay on the sideline. Lean over just because Detroit has been scoring the basketball, playing with such fast pace. I know Orlando has not been scoring the basketball, but they get a much softer defense against the Pistons. Pistons been playing super fast, making a ton of threes, getting out and running in transition. So I do lean under. I do lean over in that game, but I don't think I'm going to play it because I got a lot of trends towards the under. Philly +7, like I said, it was already written in my notes. You can get a +7.5 on ESPN Bet. Probably my favorite look on the card for today. The Pelicans and Miami Heat game to go under. It's something I'm gonna look a little bit more into, but it kind of made sense just based on some of those trends I was looking into. Love PJ Washington in this spot today against Houston, up and over his 19.5 points plus rebounds. I also like Dallas. If Derek Lively gets ruled in, I'll be on Dallas as well. And DeAndre Hunter. I pulled it up over on Outlier, up and over his 20.5 points, or up and over his 1.5 threes. So I'm sorry, 2.5 threes. So some things to check out if you guys are looking at props. I try to make sure I'm giving you guys a few props as well. The props have actually been cashing. Sometimes I just leave them as leans because I'm not a big prop guy. But they've been actually, if you've been playing the props, you've made a lot more money than you've lost. And yeah, that'll be it for the show today. I talked about it at the beginning. jaXon liking, what did I say? jaXon actually likes, for people who didn't catch the beginning of the show, jaXon likes over. It was at 211.5 when we first talked about the Detroit and Orlando game. I probably should just blindly start just taking whatever jaXon says in that one game because that play's been crushing. So like I said, I lean over 2, didn't play it. The total has moved up from 211.5. It's actually up now to 213.5. So over in the Detroit and Orlando game, I guess if I had to play that one. That'll be the show for today. About to wrap up, do a show with Cal in a couple minutes. Everything that I've talked about on the show today, all the resources that I use to handicap the games are here for people that are interested. Referral code ChrisBeCappinn will get you 50% off of jaXon. It'll get you 50% off a Money Baller. There's a link in the description of the video for Outlier that'll save you. It actually doesn't save you anything. It just gives you a 7-day free trial for people that are interested. 7 days, try it out. Don't like it, cancel it. Love it, keep it. Odds Jam 20% off. Using referral code CBC. And I got some other things at the bottom as well. Best of luck on whatever it is that you do end up playing. Whatever I end up playing, always send it out to the members. Link for all my plays is in the description of the video, as it always is. Happy New Year to everybody. Y'all be safe, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy the sports as well. And I'll catch you guys again tomorrow in the next one. Appreciate everybody for tapping in.